At 4:44 a.m. this June 9th, Archangel Michael warned me, "They're watching you more than ever. Don't miss it." At exactly 4:44 a.m., on the 9th day of June, the veil between heaven and earth thinned. Time stood suspended in the breath of silence between one realm and another. It was no ordinary moment. This was an hour not of rest, but of holy alertness. While the world lay sleeping, the spirit realm was surging with movement, and in that divine stillness, a warning broke through, urgent, unmistakable, eternal. Archangel Michael stepped forward in full glory, his presence not gentle, but shaking. His eyes were flames, not of wrath, but of divine knowing. He did not whisper. He declared. He spoke to those who could feel even when they cannot yet explain. To those who wake up suddenly, heart pounding, for no physical reason. To the ones who have noticed a subtle tightening in the spirit, the sense that something invisible has shifted and they are now being watched. More than ever. Not by men alone, but by spirits. By powers and principalities. By those who both fear and envy your destiny. This message is not for all. It is not for the comfortable. It is not for the numb. This message is for the spiritually sensitive, for the awakened, the anointed, the appointed. If you've been sensing a strange energy lately, a silent pressure in the atmosphere, a watching that has no face, then this message has already found you before you found it. Michael's voice echoed through the spirit realm, not in panic, but in prophecy. You are being watched, not because you are vulnerable, but because you are valuable. He did not arrive to frighten, but to awaken. The surveillance you feel is not from cameras or men, but from entities, both dark and divine, trying to discern what heaven has been building in secret. There is a boundary that was crossed, a line violated, a portal opened. Someone, seen or unseen, has begun to lean into what was never theirs to touch. But make no mistake, this warning is holy, and it comes with divine strategy. Heaven will never alert you without preparing you. Silence your environment now. Still your soul. Lean into the Spirit. This is not the time for distraction. This is not the hour for noise. The heavens are speaking. Archangel Michael is watching. And what he reveals next will shift your entire understanding of the strange pressure you've been feeling. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. By sunrise, you must understand this truth. You are being watched not because you are weak, but because you are awakening. This is the voice of Archangel Michael, commander of heaven's armies, not speaking from afar, but standing near your very soul in this hour. At 4:44 a.m. on June 9th, the spirit realm did not slumber. No, it surged with motion. In the invisible, watchmen and watchers stirred. A divine rupture opened between realms. And while your body may have slept, your spirit was stirred, awakened, interrupted, because the Holy One allowed you to feel what others overlook. This moment is not casual. The time is precise. The number is holy. 444. Triple confirmation from heaven, a call to attention, to alignment, to angelic announcement. Hear now, not with your ears, but with your spirit. You have been under surveillance, but not as you think. This is not earthly monitoring. This is not digital tracking. This is not human curiosity. This is spiritual watching, sanctioned, strategic, and serious. Michael speaks with urgency. You are not being watched for destruction, but for decision. What you choose in this moment will set the tone for what heaven releases or withholds in the next. There is a watcher's spirit. permitted by divine allowance, temporary in access, restrained by higher command, but present, assigned to monitor, not your body, but your spirit patterns, your disciplines, your delays, your decisions. This watcher is not a demon of chaos, but of calculation, a spirit that studies movement, records delay, magnifies weakness, and distorts alignment. And it has been loosed for a moment, not to overtake, but to test. You were stirred at night not by accident, but by arrangement. That sudden wake up, that dream you couldn't understand, that feeling of being observed, that moment when silence felt heavy, almost audible, that was no mere disturbance. That was a divine nudge from the Most High. Heaven was alerting you, tapping your spirit, pulling you from your patterns, not to scare you, but to prepare you. Michael declares, they are watching your spirit more than your life. Do not miss that. This warning is not about physical danger. It is about spiritual interception. This is not about accidents or enemies. This is about spiritual access. Your spirit is glowing brighter. Your obedience has made noise in the spirit realm. Your growth has registered in regions you don't yet see. You become a movement. You become a frequency. You become a name known in dimensions. That's why you feel the pressure. Only the chosen have felt it. That strange disconnection from what used to satisfy. That invisible tension before stepping into rooms. That shift in people's tone toward you. Though nothing was said, the energy is louder than the words. The spirit behind their eyes is more revealing than their compliments. You're not imagining it. You're perceiving it. Heaven has released a selective alert. Not everyone will feel it. Not everyone will receive it. But you did, because you are part of the remnant. The ones God marks. The ones God warns. The ones God surrounds before others see it coming. You are being called into sacred restraint, into intentional silence, into divine sensitivity. The watchers are not guessing anymore. They are tracking. They don't need to see results. They only need to observe routines. They are studying how quickly you bounce back, how long you linger in confusion, how distracted you become when you're close to breakthrough. They are watching the cracks in your consistency. But Michael says, let them watch. What they study will not succeed. Not if you heed the voice now. This is not paranoia. This is prophecy. You are being called into a moment of discernment, to understand that your spirit is a strategy. Your decisions are not small. Your actions are not random. Every time you pray, you shift the room. Every time you fast, you break patterns. Every time you sit in silence and don't react, heaven applauds. This is the hour to know what you carry. This is the hour to understand why they're watching. This is the hour to prepare for the shift that surveillance always precedes. The interruption with heaven's invitation. Your restlessness with heaven's rescue. Now is the time to listen like your future depends on it, because it does. Now is the time to respond without noise, because your stillness will shake more than your shouting ever could. Now is the time to walk with your head up and your mouth closed, because those watching cannot steal what they cannot interpret. Your spiritual rhythm has become a divine alarm. Something in you triggered a movement in them. But what they didn't know is that Archangel Michael has already surrounded you. His sword is drawn. His wings are over you, and his word hath been released. You are not alone. You are not unaware. And you are certainly not armed. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. You felt it, haven't you? The strange dreams, the quiet dread, the sudden isolation. You didn't ask for it. You didn't cause it. Yet it arrived. Like smoke without a visible fire. Like pressure without a visible hand. You smiled in front of others, but behind the smile, something inside you pulled back. Something became alert, curious, guarded, and you couldn't explain why. That's the sign. That's the signal. That's the watcher's breath brushing against your atmosphere. There are spirits who study silently. They don't make noise. They don't announce their arrival. They don't break doors. They monitor windows. They operate in shadows, and they mask their energy behind kindness, proximity, and timing. Someone near you, or near your energy, is smiling but spying. Not always out of malice, but sometimes out of assignment. And where you expected support, they brought surveillance. Michael says they don't need proof. They only need your patterns. That's the heart of this warfare. The watchers aren't seeking your secrets. They are watching your rhythms. What time you give up. What moment you pause. When you hesitate in your obedience. When you almost speak up, but don't. They want your patterns because your patterns reveal your path. And your path is what they fear. This isn't about physical danger. This is about spiritual disruption. And it's already happening. The dreams have become stranger, faces without names, places you've never seen but feel familiar, people who shift shapes, settings that make no sense. You've seen yourself running without cause, arguing without clarity, watching without sound. That is spiritual coding. That is heaven's way of translating what your waking mind cannot perceive. The watchers try to enter where your discernment sleeps, but your spirit fights even when your body rests. The anxiety comes without warning now. It doesn't feel like panic, it feels like pressure. It wraps around your chest but leaves no mark. You've pulled away from people lately. Not because of bitterness, but because your soul senses betrayal before it arrives. That's divine protection, not emotional instability. You're not paranoid. You're prophetic. Michael declares, what they pretend not to see, they study the most. That one phrase will explain the last few weeks of your life. The subtle glances. The questions that feel harmless but are hunting. The conversations that feel off, even though nothing wrong was said. Heaven is sharpening your inner radar, because what surrounds you now must be sensed before it is spoken. Spiritual surveillance is not visible. It is intuitive. It doesn't announce itself. It integrates. It finds its way into routine, relationship, rhythm. It sits silently in your orbit until it identifies how your energy flows, and then it attempts to mimic it, redirect it, or drain it. That's why you've been feeling tired without reason. Lot lazy, drained. Lot bored, clouded. That's not your imagination. That's a signal from the spirit realm. You are under observation. You are not being chased. You are being watched. And those watching you are not simply curious. They are strategic. But Michael wants you to know, surveillance is always the first step before a spiritual promotion. The fact that you are being watched confirms your worth. They see you because heaven announced you. And now that your name has echoed through the corridors of divine realms, both light and darkness are tuning in. Your spirit has made noise in the invisible, and the invisible is now leaning in. So what do? You don't panic. You don't retreat in fear. You step into deeper discernment. You lean into prayer. You walk with eyes wide and your spirit grounded. Because in this season, emotional confusion is no longer random. It is evidence. The fog you've been under is not your fault. It's a cloud of interference sent to disorient you before your breakthrough. Michael says, stand still in mystery. Let the disruption confirm what's being revealed. You are not being haunted, you are being hided. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them wait. But don't give them what they seek. Stay hidden in stillness. Stay grounded in silence. Let heaven handle the response. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $20. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for exclusive content, spiritual insights, and divine updates sent directly to you. Stay connected. Your journey is just beginning. Type I am awake in the comments if this resonates with you. Lesson code 1444 is now covering you. Now that your spirit has been stirred and the watchers have been sensed, it is time to confront the greater truth. This is not paranoia. This is warfare. This is not about fear. This is not about panic. This is about positioning. You are not under attack because you're doing something wrong. You are under observation because you're doing something right. You are not being punished. You are being proven. The closer you get to the fulfillment of divine prophecy, the tighter the realm of darkness tries to observe your steps. Not to stop you, but to understand you. Because they cannot comprehend the strategy of heaven flowing through your life. Archangel Michael speaks clearly now. You are under divine observation, for elevation. For every chosen soul must be seen before they are sent. There are two dimensions watching you, heaven and the opposing realm. One watches to cover. The other watches to copy. One watches to release angels. The other watches to send distractions. One watches because your obedience causes joy in the courts of glory. The other watches because your silence shakes kingdoms they thought they controlled. But here is your power. Your reaction determines your authority. In the spirit realm, whoever stays still longest wins. Because silence, to heaven, is not passivity, it is strategy. Every time you choose to hold your peace, rather than prove your point, you issue a divine command. Heaven, fight for me. Every time you walk away from nonsense, you walk into favor. Every time you refuse to explain what God is doing in you, the enemy loses access to predict what's next. You don't need to shout in this season. You need to discern. Because this conflict is holy. You've been marked. You've been chosen. You've been weighed in the balance and found ready. And now both sides, light and dark, recognize it. That's why you've been tested from every angle. That's why random irritations have become daily battles. That's why your mind has felt like a war zone. Because elevation draws attention, and attention draws agitation. But agitation is proof you are aligned. Understand this. Heaven marks the faithful, so does the opposition. If you've been quiet lately, it's not because you've lost your voice. It's because your silence has gained value. You are in a phase where your stillness will accomplish more than your effort, where your worship will build more than your words, where your restraint will roar louder than your reaction. Michael commands, let them speak, let them watch, let them wonder. But you, stay still. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is alignment. Stillness is the battleground where heaven fights without your interference. Both divine and human eyes are watching you. But divine surveillance outweighs human suspicion. Heaven's vision is not distracted by slander. Heaven's will is not delayed by whispers. Heaven's plan is not threatened by watchers. The pressure you feel is not an attack. It's a push. A divine force leading you closer to fulfillment. Every unseen moment is being documented in heaven. Every silent tear. Every internal struggle. Every withheld reply. Every forgiven betrayal. Every prayer said in exhaustion. It's all being recorded. Not for shame, but for promotion. This isn't just a season of silence. It's a season of surveillance. And surveillance always precedes separation. God is preparing to elevate you by first observing you under pressure. Your behavior in the shadows is birthing authority in the spirit. You are not collapsing. You are being carved. You are not falling. You are being fortified. You are not broken. You are being built. Type "I am unbreakable" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1717 is activated over you. Archangel Michael now steps forward, his voice cutting through the noise of your distractions, and he speaks with the urgency of war. They are planning a move within 72 hours. Hear this not with fear, but with clarity. This is a divine alert, not a demonic threat. What is forming against you is not forming freely. It has been allowed only so that heaven may reveal your authority in stillness. The plot is real. The timing is precise. And the tension in your spirit is not false. It is your divine signal. There is a stirring happening behind the veil. It is quiet in the natural, but loud in the spirit. Conversations are taking place in hushed tones, not in boardrooms or chat threads, but in darkened dimensions, where shadowy intentions whisper against your name. They are crafting something, but they do not understand what they are provoking. They do not know that heaven is monitoring every word, measuring every step, weighing every motive. And so, while they plan to move, heaven has already moved first. Michael declares, they want to provoke your reaction, but heaven is demanding your restraint. Do not give them the moment they are baiting for. They are not looking for confrontation. They are looking for confirmation. They want to confirm the story they've been telling about you in secret. They want you to act prematurely so they can say, "See, I told you." But let the liars speak. Let the deceivers gather. Let the watchers watch. Your silence will disarm every setup. There is a spiritual energy forming around you now. Fogginess, weariness, unexplained fatigue. That is not a natural tiredness. That is a psychic interference, being permitted for discernment. You're being given the sensitivity to feel what cannot yet be seen. You felt your mind slipping into daydreams, your attention wandering, your spirit feeling heavy even after rest. That is because something in the invisible is circling, and heaven is letting you feel it, not so that you collapse, but so that you prepare. This is a critical window. The next 72 hours are not ordinary. The atmosphere around you has tightened because something hath been stirred in the spirit. An old jealousy, a buried bitterness, a silent adversary has risen again. But do not respond with panic. You must respond with position. There is strength in divine stillness. There is covering in holy silence. Heaven does not move in haste, and neither must you. Your emotions may cry out for explanation. Your flesh may beg for confrontation. But this is not your fight. This is your filtering. God is filtering who can walk with you into the next season. And some are failing the test. They are showing their intent, not through direct attack, but through the weight of their silence, the shift in their tone, the sudden distance, the cold presence. Don't mourn it. Recognize it, What they've been watching, they now intend to confront. But not through honesty, through accusation, through indirect moves, through manipulated settings. Michael says, let it happen. But do not move. Do not engage. Delay is your defense. This divine delay is a trap for your enemies. While they think they are positioning against you, heaven is recording every move. God is building a case, not just for your protection, but for your promotion. This is the moment where the watchers overstep. This is when what was hidden gets exposed. This is when what was whispered gets shouted from rooftops, not by you, but by divine revelation. The spiritual fog you feel is not confusion. It is coverage. Heaven is placing a cloud over you to blind your enemies from seeing your next step. Even you may not fully see what's next, because God wants to ensure no one can intercept it. Not even your emotions. You are not being denied clarity. You are being denied sabotage. Michael says again, they are moving within 72 hours, but what they move against you will boomerang. Stay low. Stay still. Stay sacred. Because in these next few days, your posture will determine your preservation. Your restraint will become your rescue. You will see the attempt. You will feel the pull. But do not speak until heaven tells you to speak. Do not react until the Lord commands your step. For you are not walking into battle, you are walking into divine reversal. Type I am shielded in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 4447 is moving through your timeline. Withdraw and observe, Michael commands. Silence is your sword. In a world that screams for reaction, heaven now calls you into holy retreat. Not to hide, but to gain higher vision. This is not the time to explain, not the hour to defend, not the moment to plead your case. This is the hour to disappear, into prayer, into fasting, into the sacred shelter of the Most High. Because when the watchers are near, your silence becomes louder than any testimony. Your silence becomes your shield. Heaven is issuing a divine strategy for your protection. Pull back without panic. Step away without explanation. Remain still and watch what I do. Your absence will become your announcement. Your silence will speak louder than your retaliation. And your restraint will become the very sound that confuses your enemies. Michael stands over your name, not symbolically, but actively. Be still, he says, I am surrounding your name. That means your identity is under lockdown. No curse spoken against you will attach. No spell sent toward you will land. No false word released about you will root. Your name, your assignment, your calling, your essence, is now guarded by the armies of the Lord. Not one enemy can penetrate what God has now sealed. Your task is not to fight, it is to align. Fast. Pray. Retreat. Not for attention, but for alignment. Not to look holy, but to become untouchable in the spirit. You do not need to inform anyone of your silence. Let them wonder. Let them misread you. Let them think you've grown distant. What they do not realize is that your distance is divine. God has pulled you into the secret place, because watchers cannot penetrate the holy hush. You are not invisible, you are unreachable. And that is your power. Repeat this now. I am watched by heaven, not by fear. This is your anthem. This is your sword. The enemy wants you paranoid. Heaven wants you poised. Fear feeds watchers. Silence starves them. Build your spiritual boundaries through stillness and worship. Every time you worship quietly, a wall goes up around your spirit. Every time you sing in solitude, heaven sends reinforcements. Every time you close your mouth and lift your hands instead, the watchers tremble, because they do not understand worship in warfare. They cannot predict a soul that sings instead of speaks. Michael says, nothing touches a silent line soul. You've been seeking answers. You wanted clarity. But clarity is not always verbal. Sometimes clarity comes through absence. You begin to see what matters by seeing who pursues you when you are silent. You begin to discern loyalty not through noise, but through consistency. Let heaven cover you where logic fails. Let peace protect you where planning can't. This battle is not won by strategy. It is won by surrender. And surrender begins in stillness. You may feel strange withdrawing. You may feel uncomfortable ignoring the bait. But every time you walk away from unnecessary battles, you step deeper into divine backing. Every time you reject the temptation to defend yourself, angels gather tighter around your path. Silence is not absence. It is authority. This is the phase where God trains you to trust without knowing, to see without reacting, to walk by faith, not by feedback. You are not required to be understood. You are required to be obedient. And obedience in this moment means stillness. Withdraw and observe, says Michael again, for what is about to unfold must not be interrupted by your emotions. A great separation is taking place. Those who were never for you will reveal themselves. Those who cannot go forward with you will distance themselves. Let it happen. Your silence is heaven's sieve. It separates wheat from weeds. It reveals who was drawn to your light versus who was addicted to your attention. You will not be shaken. You will not be touched. You are shielded by silence, guarded by grace, carrying my clarity. Type I am guarded in the comments if this protection is for you. Blessing code 5551 is actively covering your dwelling. The silence has settled. The watchers have leaned in. The tension has thickened. And now, heaven says, you are no longer vulnerable. You are volatile with power. You've been hidden, but you've been heeding. You've been quiet, but you've been kindled. Every day of silence was a forge. Every tear cried in restraint was a consecration. Every sleepless night, every unanswered insult, every moment you wanted to fight but chose stillness, all of it became fire in the spirit. And now, you are not weak. You are weaponized. Michael speaks. Heaven has been sharpening your spirit in secret. They watched you hoping you would break. But you were never breaking. You were being bent into alignment. What they thought was hesitation was really transformation. What looked like delay was actually divine shaping. And now, your wings are unfolding, not soft, but strong. Not decorative, but destructive to the enemy's plans. You are being released. Not with noise, but with force. Every attack shaped you. Every battle branded you. Every silent surrender stretched your capacity. You no longer resemble who you were when the Watchers first began their surveillance. You have changed in ways they didn't expect, and that's your power. Heaven hid your development on purpose. You were growing in disguise. While they studied your patterns, God changed your blueprint. While they mapped your habits, God rewired your responses. And now, they are watching an image that no longer reflects the real you. They are outdated. Their data is wrong. Their notes are useless. Because the version of you they targeted no longer exists. You are stepping into a realm of unpredictability. Your next move will be unseen. Your voice will be heard only when it is spirit-led. Your actions will no longer match their assumptions. You are not stepping out, you are ascending. This is the hour where the victim dies and the warrior rises. You are no longer desperate for understanding. You are no longer grasping for validation. You are no longer explaining what heaven is doing in you. Let them guess. Let them admit it wrong. Let them write you off, because their dismissal is your deliverance. They are releasing you from spaces you no longer need to enter. They are freeing you from atmospheres that would have contaminated your calling. You've been underestimated, and that was God's doing. Heaven allowed them to see your sorrow, but not your strategy. Heaven permitted them to witness your fatigue, but not your fire. Heaven let them believe you were fragile, because heaven wanted the elevation to be untraceable. Now, strength grows silently. Your hands may still tremble, but your spirit is steady. Your heart may still feel heavy, but your discernment is sharper. Your emotions may still ask questions, but your soul has settled into the authority of this. You were chosen for this. Michael says, they underestimated your silence, but heaven didn't. Every moment you didn't speak was recorded. Every moment you withheld wrath was counted. Every moment you let love win over vengeance, you were promoted in dimensions unseen. And now, heaven is opening the gate. Now, heaven is pulling back the veil. Now, heaven is unlocking the next level. This empowerment is not noisy. This power is not prideful. This is not arrogance. This is activation. You are not rising to prove them wrong. You are rising to prove heaven right. Let them watch. Let them whisper. Let them wonder what changed. But do not let them near the new version of you. Type I am empowered in the comments if this is your word. Blessing code 7227 is surrounding your next step. This is no longer about surveillance. This is preparation. And now heaven says plainly, they're watching because heaven announced your name. You didn't apply for this attention. You didn't ask for this pressure. But heaven declared it anyway. Your name echoed into the spirit realm, and what was once hidden became recognized. What you're feeling now is not just warfare, it's weight. The weight of favor. The weight of prophecy. The weight of what you're about to step into. What they mistook as unnecessary monitoring was actually a response to your divine promotion. Michael speaks again. You've been marked for elevation, and the spirit realm took notice. What felt like resistance was actually recognition. Hell does not resist those who carry nothing. Watchers are not assigned to those going nowhere. Surveillance comes before significance. Interference increases before inheritance is released. The watchers weren't drawn to your past. They were magnetized by your future. You were never weak, you were anointed. And now, that anointing is expanding. There is a prophetic shift that is already in motion. Within the next few weeks, your life will begin to unfold in divine patterns, unexpected doors, unexplainable favor, untraceable miracles. Why? Because pressure is the final stage before public release. Your watchers came as confirmation, not as obstruction. Your attention proved you're ascetian. Their eyes were drawn because heaven turned the light on. Your promotion is wrapped in this very pressure. The situation you're praying away is the platform God is preparing for your announcement. What was meant to silence you will become the microphone that magnifies your name in the earth, not for your glory, but for God's. You are about to walk into what others prayed for, but never prepared for. This is a fulfillment of a word long spoken over you, and now the timeline has caught up. Michael says, heaven hides greatness in conflict. If you've been in conflict, it's because the greatness in you could not be revealed in safety. It had to emerge through fire, through trial, through contradiction. So now, the watchers don't realize they are watching you walk into something their curses could never stop. It is already done. Heaven has signed off. Your life is shifting. Your name had been pulled out of obscurity. The tables are being turned, and the watchers will become witnesses. The shift will be sudden but not random. The shift will be undeniable but not loud. The shift will be prophetic, precisely timed, completely unexplainable. You'll go from overlooked to undeniable, from dismissed to celebrated, from watched to elevated, and none of it will require your own force. It will be the movement of God, and the watchers won't be able to stop it. They were allowed to monitor your sorrow, now they'll have to observe your success. They watched you kneel, now they'll see you soar. They watched you in hiding, now they'll see your unveiling. And still, you'll remain silent. Not because you're passive, but because you are anchored. Because now you know, heaven fights differently. Heaven promotes suddenly. Heaven elevates powerfully. Michael's sword is now drawn not in warning, but in welcoming. Heaven is making room for your next level. If this word is confirming what you felt in your spirit, consider supporting our mission by giving a super thanks. Even a gift of $10 helps us continue sharing divine truth and timely messages just like this one. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Subscribe now to receive more prophetic messages, spiritual insights, and exclusive revelations. You're not alone in this journey. You are being led. Type "I receive the shift" in the comments to align yourself. Blessing code 8888 is being dispatched over your elevation. This is the moment of ignition. The silence has served its purpose. The watchers have failed to interfere. The pressure has purified you. And now, heaven is calling you to speak a single word that sets all things in motion. Yes. Your yes is not small. It is not symbolic. It is not casual. It is a command in the spirit realm. And when you declare your yes, you ignite the divine chain reaction that activates destiny itself. Michael steps forward again and says, "Activate your identity. Declare who you are aloud. Let heaven hear it. Let the watchers know it. Let your own soul believe it. The greatest warfare is always against your identity, not your possessions, not your relationships, not even your opportunities. Because if the enemy can cloud who you are, he can confuse why you are. But not anymore. A time for silence is shifting into the time for sacred speech. Say it now. I am heaven's strategy in a human form. That is not arrogance. That is awareness. You are not a mistake. You are not a reaction. You are not just surviving the aftermath of life's attacks. You are divinely assigned. Your mere presence in this time, in this generation, is proof that God is unfolding something deliberate, something dangerous to darkness, something pure in purpose. Michael says, they watch you not because you're weak, but because you're chosen. The attention against you has been misplaced as intimidation. But in reality, it is affirmation. They are watching the one thing they can't predict, the one soul they cannot manipulate, the one vessel that still carries God's unfiltered assignment. You are not here to adapt. You are here to advance. You were not made to blend in. You were designed to be the breach through which heaven invades systems, families, territories, timelines. Now is the time to align every action with your calling. Do not delay any longer. That dream, move on it. That instruction, obey it. That boundary, set it. That leap, take it. Because your action, when aligned with heaven's timing, carries the full weight of angelic backing. One obedient step will unlock more than years of planning. One surrendered moment will cause acceleration unlike anything you've ever seen. And yet, this next level is not unlocked by emotion. It is unlocked by obedience. The Watchers have been betting on your delay. They've been studying your hesitation. But what they don't realize is that you've been transformed in the silence. You no longer need perfect circumstances. You no longer wait for validation. You no longer require the confirmation of man. You now walk in the rhythm of heaven, bold, quiet, precise. Michael says again, say yes, and your bold move will silence the Watchers, because they don't know what to do with movement that comes without warning. They cannot trace a spirit led by revelation. They fear a soul that obeys without broadcasting. And when you take this next step, you will step into terrain that was once closed, but now commanded to open. Your steps are sacred now. Your yes is not only for you, it is generational. Your obedience will unlock the release of others. The Watchers are not just watching you. They are watching the ones attached to you. And that's why heaven must ensure your next action is in full alignment. This is your destiny activation. Speak it. Declare it. Step into it. And do not shrink for the comfort of those who do not carry your cross. You are no longer operating under delay. You are no longer moving through confusion. You are now functioning in divine clarity. And clarity is calling for movement. Your identity is not your past. Your identity is not your pain. Your identity is your obedience to what heaven whispered over you when no one else was listening. Speak who you are. Walk like it's true. Move like you've seen what's coming. Because you have. Type I am divinely activated in the comments to step into your moment. Blessing code 9991 is charging your next movement. Now lean in closely. For what you feel stirring is not just earthly alignment, but heavenly negotiation. In the hours you spent weeping, in the nights where silence spoke louder than your cries, in the days when your hands couldn't build because your soul was too burdened, something else was at work. While you were resting, breaking, healing, heaven was moving. Michael speaks with clarity. While you sleep, documents in the spirit realm are shifting. What you thought was stillness was actually transaction. While you were waiting, heaven was negotiating. While you were being still, angels were sealing your new identity, your new access, your new authority. The silent place you entered wasn't punishment, it was a court. And in that courtroom, the language was silence, but the movement was mighty. Heaven has renegotiated your name. That name, the one tainted by betrayal, mishandled by others, misunderstood by family, has now been rewritten by fire. The old identity is gone. The old labels are destroyed. The old timeline has collapsed. And now, you are functioning in a realm where what was once stolen is being returned, with interest. Michael speaks again. Heaven is returning what was watched, stolen, and delayed. The Watcher spirits that tried to attach to your progress, the ones who observed your patterns to paralyze your path, are now being shut out of the divine chamber. Access has been revoked. Surveillance has been scattered. What was being monitored in delay is now moving in acceleration. There's movement you cannot see. You felt the restlessness. You've tried to explain it, but nothing natural could justify it. That is because your soul is in divine transition. It's the tugging between timelines, the clash of what was and what is now being written. Your sleep has been disturbed, your rhythms disrupted. But it's not anxiety, it's adjustment. A scroll hath been written, not on paper, but in light. A new decree, a sacred script. Heaven has drafted your future with divine ink, signed by authority, sealed with flame. And this new scroll speaks of restoration, vengeance, promotion, fulfillment. Everything they thought would be left unfinished is being rewritten in finality. You are not losing time. You are catching up to prophecy. You're not behind schedule. You're stepping into a zone where God redeems years in moments. And the silent exchange that has been taking place over your life is not yet visible to man, but it is already irreversible in heaven. Heaven's agents, angels, watchers of righteousness, have been moving on your behalf. Meetings in realms beyond your reach have taken place. Some of the resistance you faced wasn't warfare, it was negotiation. There were demonic claims to delay you, legal accusations in the spirit, false agreements made in generational lines, and all of it has now been confronted in heaven's courtroom. A verdict. Release. Michael says nothing was lost. It was held. For divine timing. You were not forgotten. You were not denied. You were being held in the hands of time itself, so that your release would match your refinement. Everything you've endured, it wasn't wasted. Every injustice is now evidence. Every rejection is now a legal receipt. And every delay is now divine documentation that heaven used to strengthen your authority. And now the watchers are silenced. Now the documents are signed. Now the scroll hath been rolled. And all of heaven leans forward, waiting for you to rise and walk it out. The next time you sleep, understand this. It is no longer escape. It is exchange. Your rest is warfare. Your stillness is strategy. And while you sleep again tonight, heaven will finish what it started. Type I agree with heaven in the comments if this silent exchange is for you. Blessing code 1010 is covering your covenant. Now comes the moment the watchers were never prepared to see. The divine reversal. What was sown in secrecy is about to be revealed in glory. What was done in darkness is about to be judged in the light. Archangel Michael steps forward one final time in full power and speaks this truth without apology. Everything done against you will serve you. Everything plotted behind your back is now your platform. Every word used to curse you is now working to confirm you. You are not being restored quietly. You are being reassigned, publicly, loudly, righteously. The watchers didn't just witness your pain. They are now being assigned to witness your rise. They tried to record your downfall, but now they will be present when heaven repositions your seat at the table. This is not a private redemption. This is prophetic recompense. Michael continues, heaven's courtroom has been active, and the verdict is complete. The case is closed. The ruling is sealed. What the enemy used against you, heaven has now weaponized in your favor. The justice of God is not passive. It is aggressive. It is surgical. It does not just restore, it reverses. It flips the very thing sent to destroy you into the very thing that defines your anointing. Those who thought your silence was weakness will soon understand. It was wisdom. You didn't react because you were afraid. You withheld your voice because heaven was building your case. Every lie spoken about you became a divine receipt. Every time you were pushed out, heaven documented it. Every false agreement made behind your back is now being judged by fire. There is a spiritual sentence being released over every spirit, system, and soul that attempted to abort your destiny. But hear this, you will not have to execute it. Heaven is your enforcer. God himself is your vindicator. You don't need to announce your return. God will do that. You don't need to correct their lies. Heaven's proof will expose it. You don't even need to prove your growth. because the results about to manifest will speak louder than your defense ever could. And it will be done in front of them. Michael says, those who studied your fall will be assigned to your rise. Yes, those same spirits and people who assumed your silence was surrender will now watch in awe as heaven lifts you, not in secret, but in plain sight. This reversal is divine vengeance without bitterness. It is restoration without revenge. It is elevation without ego. You are not going back to normal. You are going forward into divine reassignment. What was used to embarrass you is about to exalt you. The things you prayed would disappear. They are now being reshaped into testimonies that shake others free. The shame that lingered in silence will now announce your arrival with trumpet sound. This isn't just breakthrough. This is heaven's way of saying, I saw it all. I heard it all. And now, I am revealing it all in your favor. Your pain was not wasted. Your delay was not useless. Your silence was not in vain. Everything was being recorded for this very hour. You are not simply stepping into blessing. You are being reintroduced in glory. The watchers will watch, and they will witness what only heaven could birth. This justice is not just for what they did, it is for what you carried through it. For every time you cried out and still showed up. For every time you forgave when it hurt. For every time you gave when it cost you everything. Heaven rewards the quiet warriors. And now, your reward will shake atmospheres. If this message resonates with you and you feel led to support, consider giving a super thanks. Even a contribution of $5 goes a long way in helping us continue delivering prophetic content like this. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more spiritual insight, prophetic teaching, and heaven-aligned encouragement sent directly to your soul. You're part of a divine remnant. Stay connected. Type I receive justice in the comments if this divine reversal is yours. Blessing code 1212 has just been activated around your household. And now, beloved, as this message draws to a close, let this final truth rest deep within your soul. You are not being watched for harm, but for honor. Heaven allowed the eyes of others to linger, not because you were unprotected, but because you were being unveiled. In the silence, you were sealed. In the pressure, you were protected. In the chaos, you were consecrated. Michael whispers now, no longer with warning but with benediction. Now is your unveiling, sealed, seen, and sent. You are no longer hidden in the shadows. You are no longer confined by the silence. The time of secrecy is over. The watchers were necessary. The delay was divine. But now, the scrolls are open. The path is clear. And your name has been released with the sound of glory. No weapon formed, visible or invisible, shall prosper against you now. You are no longer in the stage of waiting. You are in the season of walking. Go forward, not as one seeking approval, but as one already chosen. Your spirit has been tested. Your character has been refined. Your discernment has been sharpened. And now, you carry the mantle of heaven. You are spiritually shielded. You are divinely watched. You are eternally victorious. Walk like it. Pray like it. Live like it. You have passed the test, and now you step into the assignment. The watchers will still be watching, but they will no longer see confusion. They will now see confirmation. They will no longer find access. They will only see armor. Because you are now a walking prophecy, a moving portal for divine will in the earth. Rise now. Speak now. Move now. Because your silence shook realms. And heaven has said, it is finished. It is time. Type I am released in glory in the comments if you receive this final seal. Blessing code 7007 now rests upon your journey.